Hello, welcome back to this channel. I'm Parvati, a fluid dynamics student. So welcome back to the series where I introduce you to a concept or phenomenon related to fluid dynamics, and we see if we can weave a story out of it, because sometimes it helps us in retaining the important bits of a concept, or sometimes it helps us in not getting confused between two concepts. And most of the times because it makes learning a lot of fun. So today I will be talking to you about ocean waves. We will first start with what a linear regular wave is, and we will build towards a non-linear irregular ocean wave. So yeah, let's get started. So what is a wave? The video that you see over here is basically a Mexican wave, which I think most of us have been a part of at some point in our lives. So wave is nothing but a disturbance through a medium. Now let's talk about linear regular waves. The image that you see is one such example. It is called linear because when you derive the equations for this wave, you neglect the higher order terms and you just retain the first order terms, which I can show you in another video. But the major takeaway being that it looks like a sine or a cosine wave and it repeats itself, so it's called regular. So this is a linear regular wave. Now that we know what it looks like, we'll get to the important properties of a wave. The first one is the wave height, which is nothing but the distance between the topmost point of the wave, which is called the crest, to the bottommost point of the wave, which is called a trough. The second important property is the second important property is the wavelength, which is basically the length of one wave. Now, third one is the time period, which is basically the time taken to complete one wave. The reciprocal of time period is called the frequency, which is a very important property. So if you know these three quantities, we can define a linear regular wave. Now, what is a non-linear regular wave? It also repeats itself but does not look like a sine or a cosine wave. It has higher and sharper crests, which is the topmost point of the wave, and it has shallower and broader troughs, which is the bottommost point of the wave. So it does not look like a sine or cosine wave, because while deriving these equations, the higher order terms are now considered. They're not left out, and depending on how many higher order terms you take into consideration, your degree of nonlinearity changes. So now that we know what a nonlinear regular wave is, let's get to real ocean waves. Now we know that waves in the ocean don't really repeat. They're very random and basically look like this. So how do we get from a nonlinear regular wave to a real ocean wave? The answer is the random waves that we see in the ocean is the result of many different regular waves having different wave height, wavelength, frequency coming together. Or mathematically speaking, all these regular waves are added up in order to produce an irregular or random wave. It sounds easy, but it's not really that easy. And these waves need not even come from the same direction or position. So in short, these majestic ocean waves that we see is the contribution of millions of regular waves just doing their job. Now what I feel fluid dynamics is trying to tell me is very aptly portrayed by this scene between the Ancient One and Doctor Strange, which goes something like this.
Arrogance and fear still keep you from learning the simplest and most significant lesson of all.
Which is?
It's not about you.
So true, right? I mean, at least in my case, I need to keep reminding myself that it is not about me. For example, when I have to start filming a YouTube video or even hit that publish button on YouTube, I keep thinking, what if I stammer, or what if I've made some kind of a mistake? What do people think of me? But it really is not about me, right? It's about getting the content, which hopefully is interesting, across to an audience. And everybody has their own stuff to worry about. Nobody is actually putting me under any kind of a spotlight. Everybody has something special to offer to the world, just like those regular waves, which in turn makes nobody special. Also a very popular line from The Incredibles. Before this turns into a fully fledged self-therapy session, I think we should move on. Now, if you think this topic is interesting, please stay with me. This was one of my favorite courses in my postgrad. More so because once you figure out the basic physics, there's just mathematical equations and you can play around and code them up and see the results for yourself. That, I think, is very satisfying. So Water Wave Mechanics for Engineers and Scientists by Dean and Dalrymple is a place you could actually start if you're interested in wave mechanics. So this was the story for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. So I'll see you next week on Wednesday. Till then, take care. Bye.